Welcome back. My name's Athan, and this is Resell Radio, the show where we interview entrepreneurs in the fashion resale industry to give you the information and insight that you need to grow your own reselling business. Today, I'm speaking to John, the owner of Leach Vintage. He's a very experienced Depop seller. He's racked up over 5,000 sales and is just starting to look to branch out into launching his own website. He gives some really specific insights today, some specific actionable tips that you can take and apply to your own business that I think you'll find helpful. Whatever you like in the video, make sure you leave a comment below. You know, we don't really care about things like likes and all that sort of stuff. That's not of interest to us. What we want to know, what we want from you in terms of engagement is what you actually enjoy about the content, what you don't like about the content, what you'd like to see in future bits of content. We don't just tell you to comment so the comment number goes up and the algorithm likes it. We don't care about any of that. We want to know what you think of the content that we're making so that we can make better and better content. If you want to like and subscribe, then go ahead and do that. But the most important thing that we need from you today is to watch this video and let us know what you thought about it so we can keep making better and better content for you and finding more ways of adding value. If you want to check John out, he'll be in the description, his personal and his Depop shop. And without saying anything more, enjoy the episode.
Yeah, I started around July 2018, I think, like that sort of summer. Started off small in my bedroom. Then that was my second year uni. So I graduated in the summer. Yeah, I went full time then. Yeah, I started, I guess, if I'm honest, I started probably, I guess for money would have been my original motivations. I didn't have like a vintage history or background. I didn't have a love of fashion, particularly. My fashion sense was like blue, and that was about it. You know, I'd shop at Top Man and Next and whatnot. But it wasn't like I went straight for fashion. I started just like sort of entrepreneurial spirit of trying to just flip. So I wouldn't flip just clothes. I'd flip like board games or random bric-a-brac you found in charity shops and just made money on like eBay and Depop. And then I just started to find like, I just started liking wearing some of the clothes I found and stuff. And then I think the main turning point was like a kilo sale came to my uni, like the pre-loved kilo sales. And that's when I like found, you know, they would do, you know, sportswear you could get for like £6 and Ralph Lauren shirts you could find for like £3 and tees and things. I made loads of money from there and I went, this is, I think, the niche I want to go down. Yeah, then I kept going from there. Slowly grew. I moved into a shoebox in a bedroom in my third year of uni, somehow trying to fit 150 items into a 2x2 meter bedroom. Yeah, and that's how it grew, I guess.
Yeah. So how long ago was it that you started? I'm assuming you've left uni now.
Yeah, I finished uni in July. What you can call uni, I guess, and I think you get to graduate. But yeah, I started. I kind of knew by the beginning of last year that I wanted to go full time into this. And then Corona hit and sales boomed. I was like, yeah, okay, I definitely want to go into this. And so once I graduated, I went full time, working pretty much 7 days a week doing this because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm in the exact same spot. You know, probably one of the reasons we've got so much done lately is because I get bored. I stop for an hour and then I'm like, well, there's nothing else to do anyway. So I might as well keep going.
I don't feel productive. Like I told myself to go on a break and I'll watch some Netflix for an hour, and I'm like, I could do this, so I could be being productive and getting something done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So when did you make the move to go from Depop to your website?
Well, I'm still very much Depop. So I've made a website in, I think, October, I think it was. I released it. But I would not say I am a website yet. I did it and I did a brand. I put all my items on there, but I didn't do any promotion beyond my Instagram. I didn't pay for any advertising. I didn't, you know, do anything further with it. It's just because it's so. The problem I have is that I have like 1,500 items that I stock at one time. So to get both listed on both of them is so time consuming. Is that I got lazy and I just know that Depop's so much easier to do because you've got that organic traffic that comes to it, that I just kind of, I let it slip. So that the only sales I'd make on there were like my friends buying from me and stuff. But I as of like 3 days ago, I think I found a really good cross-selling app. I think it's called something, a perfect listing or something. And I think it was the only one I found that does Depop to Shopify.
Yeah.
It's like £50 a month, I believe. This is not me sponsoring it, but yeah, it was the only one because I saw there were others, but they didn't have Shopify included, or they didn't have Depop included. And yeah, I only literally started it 2 days ago, and it takes about 30 seconds to put an item from Depop to, and it's so time saving that I finally did that. So I finally went, okay, I can do both at the same time. Did a little bit of paid advertising starting, I think, Wednesday. I got my first website like organic sale yesterday, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, so I have no experience. I can't go out there and say websites are good, but yesterday, after a tiny bit of paid advertising Instagram, I got my first sale from someone I don't know on my website. So that was really exciting. It was literally just it was a £10 North Face cap, so it wasn't anything like crazy.
Hey, it's a start, man. Yeah, the very first thing we sold, made like £2 off it, but now we're here. So
yeah, so I'm going to keep pushing on with that. Now I've got this cross listing, I can have the time to actually do both at the same time and slowly try to move more into a website. Just because the main reason I want to get a website is that I am selling so much that I'm going to hit the VAT threshold.
Right.
So once you make 85k turnover in a year, you have to start paying VAT on your items. So sooner or later, I'm going to have to pay an extra 20% in tax on everything I sell, which is going to be huge. And I've also got a Depop cut coming off that. That's 30% of every item I don't even see, or 35 if you include, PayPal or whatever. So I needed to find a way to reduce costs as much as I could. And so I think I need to get going as soon as I can before that VAT threshold hits me.
Yeah, completely. Because there's a whole bunch of different skills you need to run your own website, like learning to market and create content and pay.
Yeah, it is. It's completely about the marketing. Like if it just sits there, it's not going to get, you're not going to sell a thing. So while Depop, gives you all that free traffic that you don't have to do any work for really, except a little bit of Instagram if you want. Website has to be 100% you, and you just need to be able to. You need to have those skills of knowing how to make marketable content, potentially knowing how to use Google adverts or Facebook adverts. It might turn out cheaper, but it might end up being you spend the same amount on advertising as you do on Depop feeds anyway, and you make the same amount of sales. So you've got to know that your content and your advertising abilities are as good as your good as they can be to make it worth it, really.
Yeah, completely. I mean, if you're moving off because you're hitting that 85k threshold, that's at least 8.5 grand's worth of fees coming out.
Exactly.
Which is effectively now your marketing budget.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what that's what I'm basically saying. I say, so if I spent, I think 1.2k on Depop fees last month, I'm like, okay, so that's how much I'm going to try and I can spend half of that, because like if I say half Depop, half website, I spend 600 quid on marketing this month. And I'll see how it goes. So yeah.
Completely. Well, I'll keep checking in to see how that goes, man. I've seen you got a YouTube channel as well. Is that a part of boosting the marketing?
I started that in lockdown 1, just for a bit of fun. It's basically just me showing people what I sold that week. I was sort of going to do trip to the thrifts, but that became effort with bringing a phone around with me. I just didn't like the idea of just walking around with a phone. So it's mostly just me rambling on about what I sold, spouting a bit of knowledge, I guess. And yeah, that's what it's really been. An occasional just like catch ups and things. But I posted a couple more recently. I lost time for it because I got so busy once I graduated, trying to like make my stories big and as I could. But it's something I want to get back into because I really want to engage more with the community. And just I have made a few sales from it as well, so it's another like channel, I guess. But yeah, that's mostly what it is. I've got like 200 subscribers, something like that.
Yeah. I think it does take that slightly longer mindset approach. It's not as direct as putting up something on your Instagram and saying buy this and getting a customer. But over time, when people build a relationship with you, like with Hustle, if we now released a product there's so many people that would be willing to buy it and would want it and would see value in it because we spent the last 4 months speaking to them and creating content. Whereas if we just released that product on day one, we might have got a few sales, but we wouldn't have all those relationships to kind of work with. So I can see you doing that over YouTube. One of the things I'm curious about, because I reckon your answer will be the complete opposite end of the spectrum from where mine is. But on your shop is fucking massive. Like I started scrolling to see some of your solds, and I didn't get to the solds because it was just taking too long. So I've got like
1.6k items up.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So for me, I like to keep it small. I like to keep the operation tight, and I like to the end goal for my Depop would be have 20 items up, but they're all super limited, really rare. They take ages to sell, but when they do sell, I make like 600 quid of it because Depop isn't my main thing. Hustle's more my main thing, and Depop just keeps me alive. Now you've got the complete opposite end where you're going for scale of operation. Why is it that you prefer having so much stuff?
I think for one reason is that finding items with margins like that are insanely hard. You know, the highest thing I've ever sold something for was 300 quid, and that's a Burberry trench coat that I got for like 30. So I think the reason I get is because I'm able to find things very cheap just with the suppliers and the ways I go about finding things, that I'd rather find loads of things cheap and sell them for a lot, because that's the easiest thing for me to do than to be able to go out there and find something, pay 500, sell it for $2,000, or pay 100, whatever it is. They're just not. It's just much harder to find. But yeah, as for me, I just find loads of things cheap, so I can, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess as well, the suppliers that you go to, I'm assuming that, well, first of all, how do you find the suppliers, but also are you able to kind of build a bit of a better relationship with them because you're ordering much bigger quantities than normal people?
Without trying to feel too much about my supplier, because it's a very niche, it's not one that anyone else uses, and it's quite different from other ways that people use suppliers. Mine is like a local contact, and they have absolutely like thousands of items that I will sift through, but most of it will be absolute garbage, and I'll only pick up like 1 in 100 things that's actually worth anything, but I'll pay pennies for it. So I found them through just a lot and lots of research and emails and questions, and it took time. It's not like mistakes that loads of people make, including myself. I did it loads at the beginning, is just spending 2 minutes on Instagram, finding a wholesaler and spending 500 quid on them. And it's just the easiest and mistakes they make. People will look at other shops on Depop or websites or whatever, and they'll see people with like 50 spellouts and think it's easy. And they'll find bulk who will advertise on their Instagram spellouts and think, oh, that's it, that's all I need. And then, you know, be heavily disappointed when it arrives. So it takes time, it takes contacts, it takes research to find the right supplier. And I do now have that relationship with them because I'm like an exclusive buyer. So I just have a really good relationship. They will like save me things that they think I'll like. Like they gave me a North Face puffer jacket last week for 20 quid, sold out for 300 in a day. So so that I have a really good relationship with them.
And I think that if it only takes 5 minutes and 3 clicks to find a bundle from a supplier, there are millions and millions of other people who have also just spent 5 minutes and 3 clicks to find it. And so it can't be that good. You might get lucky and get something decent, but you're not going to be finding the best stuff if it is just at the top of the Google search engine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to wholesalers, like I've used them, and before I found my current supplier, and it was like lockdown 1 when you couldn't go out thrifting, you sort of had to find contacts and suppliers and things. I did use a few of them, but my advice would be to don't go buying their like branded sportswear, because it's going to be thrown in with so much crap, like a 2017 Nike t-shirt that's got random branding on it. You know, my advice would be go for like the unbranded things or like more niche items that not everyone wants to sell, but it's not popular with other sellers, and you can sort of market yourself around that. Like buy the wavy t-shirts, like Jack's 80. I know he uses sort of common ones, but he makes his brand so successful because he just gets all these really cool like marketable stuff, and the unbranded stuff isn't going to be full with filler items. It's all going to be sort of, they picked it because they thought it looked cool, even though it's not a brand. You know, most of the branded stuff is just, it's a brand also in, even though it's modern and garbage. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's going to be in less demand from sellers because everyone wants the Nike and the Adidas and all that stuff, and like, so it's cheaper.
Yeah, I would buy like the vintage denim varsity jackets. I think they charge like £15 a piece, and they'd always include like a Disney one. And at the time, I don't think that they must not have known, because Disney denim jackets at the time were going for like 200 quid. So in every bundle, they'd send 30 of these jackets, all of which go for about 30, 40, because they're just really cool looking. And one would always be worth, or two even, would be worth at least 100 quid. They don't do that anymore. I think they caught on and they kept the Disney ones for handpick, and they stopped putting them in the bundles. But yeah, at the time, like, I found that niche, I found that market, and I made loads of money from that using common wholesalers. So you can use them, and I think that if you haven't got the time to go out and sift yourselves, or you haven't got the contacts and you to go and find better suppliers, they can be good, and I would recommend sometimes, but I would advise to stay away from the branded stuff. That's me.
Fair enough. And you know what? When it comes to wholesale, I'd agree, because the only wholesale branded stuff I found that works is North Face puffer jackets, just because there's actually quite a few suppliers that do that. There's loads and loads of puffer jackets in the world for some reason, but other than that,
they all seem to be in Asia. I think they all seem to be in Asia. Yeah,
exactly. Loads and loads. And I'm thinking, like, are they all fake or something? But I've got them through. Everything about them seems legit. Something is happening over in Asia when they make fuck loads of these jackets.
Yeah. I did see them before, but you do have to pay a lot for them, don't you? Like, I can't remember. The price has probably gone up even more now, obviously, because of Kylie. But if you've got the market to sell them on, I just think the margins are a bit too small, because I bought my Asian bundle from someone who did North Face bundles as well, and I thought I'd just been ripped off completely. But if you've got the market to sell them at, and you can sort of double your money, then absolutely,
yeah. I think it all depends on what you're going for. Like, I always try to remember when I give people advice that I'm not trying to build a 5,000 sale Depop shop. I'm trying to efficiently make some money so that I can grow hustle as a business and create content and all this sort of stuff. Whereas other people, when they spend 40 hours a week working, it's all Depop. So they can handle 1,000 items. And do you know what I mean? That'd just be impractical for me. So it just depends what you're going for.
Different markets, it's completely different. And for me, like, so the thing that originally stopped me growing, made me scared to grow, was the bumping. Because obviously bumping is so time consuming. Back in the beginning of the year, last year, I'd have like 500 items, and it would take me an hour every day. And I imagine that's an hour every day I used to spend bumping things. And my girlfriend would hate it, and I would hate it, and it'd be boring. But then I actually found out you can, but without using bots, because bots are, dangerous, to get your account hacked and things. There are like people you can pay out in like Asia. It's a big tip for people who want to use it. People you pay in like Asia, like in Indonesia or Bangladesh, whatever, like £2 an hour to do that for you.
Mad.
Yeah.
What, like personal assistant sort of?
They will literally just sit there for £2 an hour, and they'll bump things for you. And so I do that every now and then just to get it in. It saves me so much time. It's crazy. So that's, if people have the funds to go and do that, and they want to save that time, then that's my advice. Go and do that, because it saved me so much time, and then let me grow my store, because I didn't have to go and sit there doing that 100 times a day. Well, so once a day, But that's also why I want to go to the website. There's a website called I think it's WeBump. Hang on, not WeBump. So I've got it here somewhere. Upwork. I don't know why I said WeBump. Upwork.com. Yeah.
Upwork.com.
So if anyone with a big store that has the margins and hours, it's not much for someone with only 100 Yeah, they'll probably take about an hour for about 500 items, so £2 a day, or whatever it is. But if you've got the margins to be able to be wanting to spend that much money when you could do it for free. But yeah, it's a really good tip.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, man, because I think when you look at other businesses, there's so many things that you would just get other people to do. So like even with our content on Hustle, we're now paying someone else to edit the videos just because there's so much to do. But because Depop's such a solo business, most of the time you have to do everything yourself. And that means that when you've got shitty things, like I've got to bump every fucking item every day for an hour, there's no one else to give that work to. So if there's a chance to do that, then yeah, man, that's a big time saver. Looking at where you are now, if you had to go back to day one, John, what would you tell him to do differently?
Get a bigger room in second year. I would say I made mistakes with suppliers. I used bulk once, hated it, and then for some reason went back to them 2 more times, and I hated every experience I did with them. So I'd never do them again. I don't know. Everything's been a learning curve. So even mistakes, I know that so buying a certain item is a mistake, but I learned from it not to buy that again. Or I don't think there's anything that's been too problematic. I don't have an answer for that one beyond that, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones where the mistakes you make still got you here, so there's only so much.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely loving what I do now. I couldn't dream of anything else, especially in the current job market. All my friends from uni came out with loads of people had their jobs cancelled or something, or have spent months searching, still haven't found anything. So to do what I'm doing now, and I'm making way more than I would have done in any graduate job I found.
Yeah, completely.
It's amazing. So
no, I agree with you, man. I think that obviously COVID's hit a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but resellers are like largely unaffected. We're mostly just doing the same.
We're affected positively. Like the sale, I would not have imagined being of 5,000 sales by the new year, this time last year, but COVID just hit and online sales boomed. So and also it had a really weird effect on vintage as well, because the prices of things just doubled. I don't know. Well, I have theories, but that's like suddenly spellouts went from being worth 30 to 60, and North Face jackets went from being 150 to 600 and things. So,
why do you think that is?
For one, I think all the items that randomly peaked, like the Nike spellouts and the North Face, all came from influencers. And I think because when an influencer wears a vintage item that you can't just be found on some website, rather than prices spiking, the websites will just sell out in a second. Whereas now, because it's Depop sellers who have no price cap, they'll just be able to, the demand is there and supply is low. So they can literally charge whatever they want. And there are people out there that will spend that money because they've got it and they want to look like Kylie. So because there's no price cap on Depop, you can literally charge whatever you want, and you're not some business that has to stay ethical. It can happen. If people want to pay for it, then that's on them. But I think the Nike hype went, and then that trickled into like other spellouts. People are like, well, I don't want to pay 400 for a Nike sweatshirt, so I'll just get an Adidas one instead, and then that made them go up, and then trickle to Reebok or whatever. So, but funny, it's crazy.
I have definitely noticed with Nike, when I started 2 years ago, it was cheap as fuck on Depop, like 30, 40 quid, 50 quid for some of the expensive stuff. But now,
the spellouts, I would sell for 35, and I'd be like, that's good money.
Yeah, but not anymore. Way more. But you can't find any spellouts for less than like 40, 50 quid now. And most of them go for about 100. It's mad.
So there's two things there that really stood out for me that John said. The first was that it's worth putting in the time to find the more difficult to find suppliers. If it does just take 5 minutes to find a supplier on Instagram, lots of people have already done that. So the stock might be okay, you might find some good bits, but it's only going to be so good. There's a kind of cap to how good that stock's going to get if thousands of other people are using it. But if you put in the time through the emails, the phone calls, the Google searches, hashtag searches, all that sort of stuff, it will take longer to find a supplier, but when you eventually do, you can build a real relationship with this guy and operate in a niche that other people might not be in because they don't have access to the same stock that you have, and you can build your brand off that. The second interesting thing he picked up on was not selling brands. I've always sold brands because I'm familiar with them, and to be honest, I don't think it's going to be something I move away from because I don't wear non-branded clothing myself. But if you are someone that does wear non-branded clothing, that you're into that kind of fashion, big advantages from selling those kind of stock because they're less in demand, which means that they'll go for cheaper through the wholesale websites, and you're not going to get those odd pieces that, you know, when you order like a Nike bundle and some of them are scrappy Nike bits that technically are Nike, but they don't have a swoosh on them anywhere and you're not going to be able to sell. But if you buy a funky shirts bundle, you can't really get that with a funky shirt. They're all going to be funky shirts, aren't they? There's not going to be those odd pieces where you think, oh, I wish I hadn't got that one. So there are big advantages to selling non-branded. If that's something you're interested in, then yeah, maybe that's worth looking at. Say it every video. Leave a comment and let us know what you thought of this bit of content. If there was anything that we picked up on that you found useful. We don't care about likes. You know, the subscribers are nice, but the number doesn't mean anything to us. What's important to us is the relationship we have with you. And so if you leave a comment, if you start the conversation, we can speak back to you and we can learn what it is you actually want to get out of this content, what it is you're actually trying to learn about, what it is you're finding useful, and we can keep getting better and better and better, providing more and more value and helping you grow your Depop shop. As always, hustlers, we believe in you. Keep working hard, and we're always going to be here to help you grow your shops.